Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. We had Deku. We also did have the crew. Mina, Ken, and Mark, along with David Shield. Now, David Shield had a mission. Quite simple. He was supposed to overload the core to Vilgax's ship while they tried to save Izuku. In Deku, after the power surge, he started to spontaneously change into his aliens rapidly. He discovered Wildvine and Cannonball, and he tried to use all of the power he could at the time, every single transformation with its own unique advantages. However, Vilgax, he wasn't going down. Deku could barely put a scratch on the sky. And, well, things didn't go too well. Ken sustained injuries and so did Mina. Mark was fatally wounded, and the man tried to make the best of the time he had left. Whenever the ship was overloaded and had 30 seconds left before detonation, Mark knew what to do. Everybody got back to the rust buckets, and he talked about how he'll hold Vilgax off until they get inside. However, the man already knew. The moment he turned to run, they were in trouble. He stood his ground and said something to his friend without even speaking a word. And it was simple. Protect his granddaughter. Protect Izuku. Protect the Omnitrix and protect Earth. He had a last stand. And Izuku, he tried to save the man the best he could. However, Ken made the call. And Izuku, he kind of knew what was at stake. And he got them back to Earth. As the ship blew up, and he knew Mark died. And that was the worst part. Whatever Vilgax was, he should be gone. But Izuku, he's not too sure. Especially after the story his grandfather told about the man before. How he knows Vilgax, and what he did to the plumbers. How he essentially broke a dog. How he just broke so many people. He just was a feral animal. And he went for the throat. And it was not good. It was not clean. It was messy. And Ken, he saw Deku run off. And right now Deku hasn't been seen in 3 days. Meanwhile, while that's been happening, Ken has been trying to catch up with Xylene, who has made a return, since she was able to finally at least get a few things cleared with the higher-ups in the plumbers. Now, Deku, he has not come out of his room. He's been trying to study the Omnitrix, and he's been very private. Xylene wanted to talk to him, and Ken, he tried to make things quite clear. Izuku's going through a lot, and so is him and Mina. He already does know, but there's one thing he still has yet to do. Call Mark's daughter and break the news. I mean, he just doesn't know what to say. What to say. And that's an issue. There's one reasonable explanation, but that also does involve blaming Vilgax for his death, which isn't inaccurate. Now, while the plumbers are trying to fabricate a story for Mark's death, they gave him full honors and a burial. Well, in name only. Now, with that being said, Izuku, he has been trying to do a lot. Study the Omnitrix and turn into gray matter every time he can. And that's been rather interesting. Deku, he understands what the Omnitrix is. He knows that people will come after it, come after him. And that just causes another problem. If he doesn't find out what this master control thing is that Vilgax talked about, there's no telling who else might get hurt, who else can be killed because he just doesn't turn into the right alien, or he just doesn't do things right. I mean, it's stressful. He wanted to be a hero, but what he's been dealing with hasn't been easy. I mean, monsters, aliens, regular humans. He likes to deal with those. But right now, Deku, he's not even too sure. As we do actually have Ken. who currently is going to walk over and sit on a plate on Deku's door. Him bringing his hand up and knocking on it, expressed to Izuku that he made him something for lunch. And Deku, he does not respond. Him gonna turn and walk over, knocking on Mina's door and saying the exact same thing, asking her if she does want to talk about what happened. And right now Ken doesn't get a response. Him going to actually turn and walk away. And we do actually have Deku. Deku doesn't want to sit there. Him right now as, well, you know, Ripjaws. And Deku, he currently does get to walk over to the door. Him pressing the button and looking down. As he does get to bend down and actually doesn't want to turn fully human. Deku still somewhat soaked from the shower. And currently he does get to look down at his food. As Mina's door does a slide open, he does a turn. Mina actually still going to step out and see Izuku. Her with a bit of sadness on her face. And Deku, he does get to talk about it. You know, at least it's not bugs. Yeah. Right. I don't know. I mean, I'd eat a ton of bugs if I brought them back. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm sorry, you know. You're sorry? I couldn't save him. I mean, he was right there. I just, I don't know. I just froze. Now, Mina doesn't stare at Deku, and she just won't talk about it. She's no better. She tried to use her powers, but David did this weird thing. He struck a nerve and she just went limp. And that's a problem. She's angry because she couldn't do anything. And Renner says at least going to bend down. Her grabbing her lunch, and it's the plate that does have a piece of cake on it. Her going to actually turn and walk back into her room. And Deku, he does this don't look down at his food. Him is going to turn and stare at Mina's door. Deku going to actually walk over, sitting down and leaning against it. As I turn and knock. Mina not doing a thing. And Deku just don't talk about it. He's sitting right here. You know, every time I use the Omnitrix, I feel good. Mina's not going to listen. Though, I don't know. I wanted to have superpowers. Like you. Like Bakugo. Like everyone. I remember being told I couldn't be a hero because I was quirkless. I thought that was it. I didn't really know what to do. I mean, I talked to my grandpa a lot. I try to know what's really wrong with me. But he says that there's nothing wrong with me. Sometimes I don't believe him. And other times I think he's right. Though, with this, I thought I could help. Step in and be like All Might, but that's hard. I didn't realize what power came with. Consequences? I don't think that's really the right word. Listen, Mina, I don't know what to. Currently, her gonna open the door, and Deku is not gonna fall backwards. Right now, him with his food flying across his chest. Ow! Right now, her is gonna stand there, as Deku, he doesn't stare up at Mina. You know, a little bit of a warning would have been nice. I'm gonna sit up, and currently going to look down at the fried food his grandpa gave him. And Deku, he doesn't don't talk about it. And I'm gonna actually sit back up and turn to Mina. What was that? I miss him. I know. I do too. A lot of the plumbers tried to tell me stories about him, you know? They did? They did. It was about how he was, what he did, how he lived. He hasn't really changed from what they say, what they said about him. You gonna be okay? No, I don't think so. I just, my mom doesn't know yet, and that's another issue. I want to talk to her and tell her everything. He died a hero, but the world doesn't know. Now, Mina doesn't want to walk over, sitting down on her bed, talking about it. The world doesn't realize anything about what happened. I mean, they just know the ship blew up and they think the world or the government took care of it. She doesn't know. She doesn't know what they think. They know the truth, but no one else does. And that's the problem. Now, Deku doesn't want to sit there. Him currently doesn't want to stare at Mina. And he doesn't want to talk about it. He's and looking down at his watch. And currently he does try to think. Trying to press onto it. Okay. No, still on cooldown. Now, Xylene currently was walking down the hallway. And she wanted to talk to Izuku. Especially because he's wielding the Omnitrix. She has been trying to be patient and wait on Ken's timetable. But for her species, this has been already way, way too long. Now, currently she's going to walk over and turn to see Deku's door, which is closed. And she actually just wants to stare over towards Mina's door, which does have food currently on the ground. Her going to walk over and turn, knocking on it, asking if there's anyone in there. Yeah. Is Izuku in there? I am. What? I'd like to talk to you. It is highly important. Now, he has to walk over and open the door, and currently Xylene doesn't want to stand there. And Deku does stare at her. What is it? This conversation cannot wait. We must be urgent about this. I wish to talk to you and explain a few things. Make things quite apparent. You don't need to do that. If you want the Omnitrix back, then I don't know. Listen, I want to know how to use it. Figure it out. I mean, there are bad people after this, right? If that's why you sent it to Earth. Listen, it's stuck to me, so help me out here. Deku's one stepping forwards, and Xylene can tell. Izuku, he's never dealt with loss. And right now what he's asking is out of her control, because she doesn't know how to do what he's asking. And Deku, he shouldn't beg her to activate Master Control. He wants to be able to use all the power in the Omnitrix and not fail again. And Xylene, the moment she's trying to tell him that that's not possible, he does want to stare at her. Him not believing her. And Xylene does get to express. The wielder of the Omnitrix, she's fairly certain that he'll have to figure it out. The only other person who might be able to do this will be Azimuth. And she doesn't know where he is. And Deku, he knows that this is going to talk about it. Vilgax said that name earlier. Where's Azimuth? I mean, he created this thing, right? So he knows how it works. Maybe if they talk to him, find him, then he can help them out. I mean, he can save people and the world. I mean, potentially the universe, right? That's what this thing was built for? To save people? Now, Xylene doesn't stare at Deku, and she doesn't need to read his mind to tell what he's thinking. Right now, Deku, he's fragile. He hasn't been hardened by experience. And this, it's different. She's not really too sure how humans process emotions, because for her species, it's just, hey, you're alive, you're on your own. For humans, it apparently is vastly different, so there is that. And right now, Xylene, she is trying to think about what Kentaro has told her. However, she's just flat out say it very, very bluntly. She can't activate anything. She can give Deku information in a code for more aliens. However, that would be it. What she can do is open up the Omnitrix's settings a lot more, and that should help, though she's not too sure by how much. All she has to understand is the information given to her, and her dabbling into the research data for the Omnitrix before it was destroyed aboard her craft. And Deku, he does try to think. The only other person who knows as much about the creator was Vilgax, and she can still help him. Now, Xylene does actually turn, grabbing Deku by the arm and pulling his arm up. Ow! Hold on a sec. Her grabbing the dial, and currently says someone start to twist and turn it. And Deku, he does actually see the Omnitrix someone activate and pop up the dial. It starting to spin as Deku does someone stare down. Is that normal? Give it a second. Now, the Omnitrix could actually someone stop. It's going to go back down and depower. And Deku does someone see it shoot green, showing that it's ready to be used early. Huh? Ooh, what did you do? I put in a code. Now understand. Her bring her hand up, and currently Deku is sent flying onto the ceiling. Right now, him with his arms and legs stuck to it. Ashes don't stare up and look at Izuku, expressing to him, she is going to be very serious on this. If he does misuse the Omnitrix, she will understand and know when that does happen. She will come back to Earth and teach him a lesson about all of this. She is putting a little bit of trust in him because of what happened with Vilgax. And that is something that she does not want to do. Right now, her duties are important. And fact of the matter is, Earth, it is a place that is very interesting on her list of priorities. And Deku is someone going to pay attention to that. As Eileen is going to talk about it. As the wielder of the Omnitrix, people will come after him. People will try to find him and take it from him. However, now that Vilgax is gone, Earth is put a bit more in the limelight, as humans call it. Whatever light that his lime means. And she doesn't want him to understand. Threats will come to Earth not only to possibly take its natural resources, but for other things besides the Omnitrix. And that could be a potential problem. And Deku, he does want to start Xylene. Him just going to nod. Ashes will lower him down and talk about it, bring her hand down onto his head. Her going to simply just turn and walk away. And Deku does get turned back to Mina. That was weird. You're telling me. But what were you saying? Huh? Oh, Degu's not looking down at the watch. You want to see what new aliens I got? Now, Deku's a little bit more intrigued. And right now he has a press down to the dial and... Huh? Wait, what's going on? He thought... oh god. Okay, so it's like an update. It might take a while. That on Deku's mind. And he's somewhat annoyed. As he has to do one thing. He does go to actually turn to Mina. Ask her if she does want to do something else. And pressing onto the button. As it does actually go back down. And Mina does talk about it. Yeah. Maybe they could mess around a bit more. Maybe if they can. See about going on a spacewalk? Now, Deku, that does kind of intrigue him. However, right now, before the two can really get anywhere, he he went to go try and find them. And Xylene, yeah. Whenever Ken found out that he talked to Deku and Mina, he was a bit more concerned as to how they might be mentally. She's very blunt, and that can be a problem, especially with children. And right now, he actually just won't find Deku and Mina. The two, somewhat trying to find out how to fit in a spacesuit made for an adult and go outside out of the airlock. And Ken, he made things very, very clear to the two not to do this type of stuff without somebody to oversee it. Especially because it's quite dangerous if you don't. Now, Deku and Mina were allowed to go outside and have their very own chance in the darkness of space. However, he did keep them tethered down, and it was kind of intriguing. And Ken, he tried to talk to Izuku while Mina was outside, trying to at least inform Izuku to stay by her side right now and talk to his friend, especially because how she might be feeling, it's gonna happen rapidly. And Deku, he didn't really understand. However, his grandpa made things clear. Izuku feels really bad. He feels terrible. He feels like he could have stepped in to save him. He knows the exact feeling. He's gotten it plenty of times. He had it a lot with Vilgax, just watching his friends die. However, Mina, that was her family, and she felt helpless. He wants Izuku to understand. The reason why he waited so long to tell him everything was because he hoped Izuku wouldn't have to deal with any of this. However, right now, they gotta go on a mission pretty soon. Hopefully, though, they'll get to go where Izuku wants to for his birthday. Hopefully at least somewhere close or nearby. It's gonna be a bit of a big day for him. And Deku, he does look to turn to his grandpa. The man bring his hand down onto Deku's shoulder, talking about a few more things. And Deku, after Mina was pulled back in, she seemed a bit more in better spirits. However, she doesn't want to talk about it, about how weird it was out there. And Deku, he himself does go out. And right now Deku does sit there in the darkness of space. Right now a few things on his mind. He tries to look around for any debris, anything from Vilgax's ship, but he finds nothing. And it does somewhat alarm him. The plumbers took care of it, whatever that means. They're trying to, and well, there's just so much in his mind. That going with Deku. And currently Deku, he does try to think. He wants to be more serious. He wants to do things to save the world, and with actual power he can. But he won't be recognized. He won't be the top hero, the top pro, but he'll know he saved the world. And it does so provide Deku with some comfort, peace of mind. Maybe one day people will know he did it, but that could be sometime later. Sometime in the future, or maybe 10 years, 20, 30, 40, or, well, sooner than later. People want the Omnitrix. He's well aware of that now. And that has been quite a lot to him. However, he also is still worried about Mina. And right now after Deku is pulled in, Ken does talk about a few more things. And the next day, the Rust Bucket, along with these three, are set down in New Mexico, since there is a lot going on. And Deku, he was kind of surprised to being in the US. It's kind of a big jump. And apparently they didn't need David's help because of a plumber ship. Yeah, that's freaking cool, right? At least that's how Deku rationalized it. And Deku, he asked about a few more things. As currently the the rust bucket does get a pull over and get brought to a stop, as Rhino Ken talks about a few things. Wes is an old friend of his. In fact, he does go back to his plumber days, and he does want the two to understand. This mission's going to be a little serious, especially because they're not too sure what they're dealing with. Now, currently Deku and Mina do get a walk out of the rust bucket, and it's kind of strange looking around. There's a lot of stuff that they don't recognize, and it's different here. Now, eventually there actually is where Ken does to find Wes, and the two do so and start to talk. It's been a very, very long time, and the two are happy to be reunited, especially because right now he does need a bit of a hand with the situation. He heard about Vilgax though, and he does try to give his condolences to Ken, trying to leave the kids out of this, since he heard about who Mark was to one of those kids. Now, there actually is Deku, who he is looking around, before a girl does come running up, and Deku does stare at Kai. Now, Kai does somewhat go to express bring her hand out, that it's nice to meet them. And Deku, he's kind of a bit more surprised. Especially because, well, I mean, he just didn't expect this. Now, Deku doesn't want to shake her hand, and introduce himself as Izuku. Amina talks about herself, and Kai's a lot more intrigued, especially because her grandpa, he talked about how these two are here to help. But Izuku, he's just some kid. And her grandpa's friend. I mean, he might have something that can help, but how can Izuku help? Now, with that being said, I do believe that is a good point to leave this part off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.